Welcome to Neither Here Nor There. I'm your host, Nick, and this is a show about the messy, beautiful space between where you are from and who you are becoming, between accents, passports, family expectations, and the lives we are trying to build. Every episode, I sit down with someone who has had to rewrite their idea of home and identity, and we talk about what it costs, what it gives back, and how they are learning to belong in the in-between. Today's guest is Karen, a lifelong in-between. She was born in Hong Kong, has lived in San Francisco, Japan, Los Angeles, Hong Kong again, and now calls London home, at least for now.
Yeah.
She's, she has spent most of her life in places where she is not quite like the locals, navigating loneliness, distance, and constant reinvention, but also discovering the very real gift of living between cultures. Karen is also the host of podcast Mind Blend, where she explores real experiences and meaningful conversations to help people navigate their own journeys. In this conversation, we are turning the mic back on her story, what it means to build a life, a sense of self, and a feeling of home when you never really stayed in one place. So let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Karen.
Hi, Nick. Thanks for having me. It's fun to be interviewed.
Well, I hope you'd like being interviewed.
I love
being
sharing
on the other
stories.
side of the mic.
I love sharing stories and experience. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, so Karen, so you have spent so much of your life in places where you weren't like the locals.
Mm-hmm.
When do you remember first realizing I don't quite fit in here?
It was pretty soon after I moved to San Francisco from Hong Kong. I think that was like my only real immigrant experience, because at the time, it was in the 90s. I didn't quite have this sense of I don't have a permanent home, because at the time, okay, I moved to the United States and that will be where I am. So when you're that age, like I was in high school, didn't really think a whole lot about life. And I remember that was like the only time that I thought, oh, I wish I was born here, because the language would be a little easier. My English was okay. It was good enough to not have to go to like ESL classes, English as a secondary language classes. But still, I'm different from, even if like for Chinese who are born in the States, like American born Chinese, not quite the same as them. Clearly not any other culture. Like I'm Chinese, but not quite the same as the Chinese around me. There are a lot of friends whom I met. They moved to San Francisco from somewhere pretty recently too. So mainly I hung out with those groups of students. But I think that was the only time that I was like, oh, I wish I'm more the same as the people here. San Francisco is very saturated with people of Chinese descent. So in that sense, like, yes, it's not really what America is now, I know. But still, it was still not quite the same. So that was probably my first time thinking that I'm really different. I wish I'm more blended in, more like the people here.
I can relate to that. When I first moved here, I thought like, oh, I'd be surrounded by all the white people or American. But I was surprised to see so many Indians in my neighborhood, not just in the city, like in my neighborhood where I moved to. And once I started going out, I was surprised to see like so many people from so many different countries. And it was like eye-opening, like we are truly in a diverse country. Like there's so much of diverse culture here in America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of touched that you wished you blended more, or you were born here
at the time.
Yeah. So did the experience of being the outsider feel different in each places for you? Like you moved to San Francisco, and then you moved to Japan, LA, and now in London. So my question is like, did the experience of being the outsider, feel different in each places?
I think I'm most conscious that I'm an outsider, actually, probably in Japan, because the Japanese culture is so strong and it's probably pretty homogenous too. So the language was a challenge because I moved there with a few years of learning Japanese in school, but that's just textbook learning. Can't really speak it. So I really felt that there's a lot of unspoken rules in Japan, and you really don't know until you start interacting with Japanese people. Because I'm Asian by descent, but largely Americanized in my how I interact with people, how I speak my mind, and I'm like more direct. But at least in Tokyo, which is where I lived, it's very indirect. You can never really just say what you want to, even to your own like boyfriend or partner. So that was where I felt like I was the outsider the most. But it's not, I wouldn't say it's like an identity crisis or anything because it was just a 1 year program because I know I'm not moving to Japan permanently. So it didn't really bother me, but it felt, I felt the outsiderness a lot. And so I was there for Japanese school. Most of my friends are also from somewhere, Korea, China, some from the States or Canada. And we hung out as a group of like foreigners.
Let's dive a little bit deeper into Japanese culture of when you like for me, I was born in India and I could totally see the what you were trying to say there. You can't say things directly, and that happens in India. So like you
Mhm.
can't speak your mind like how you should because people get
Yeah.
offended easily. So what do you think about that in Japanese culture in terms of that?
I have a funny story. I'm gonna remember it forever. So I met a Japanese person on my flight when I was moving to Japan. And because he knew that I'm new, so we exchanged phone numbers. And one time he invited my friend and I and his friend to go out for like, it's Mongolian barbecue. So it's similar to Korean barbecue. And because he's from Hokkaido, it's like a thing from Hokkaido. So he's really proud to be showing his own culture to these foreigners. And my friend is from Canada. So I'm from like San Francisco, or I moved there from San Francisco. So pretty westernized, pretty direct, and like we want results. So the Mongolian barbecue turns out they grill, like it's more a slow cooking process. So you're not supposed to turn the heat way high. But my friend and I were like, this is sticking too long. Let's just turn up the heat. And then I think we made a few more comments about this Mongolian barbecue setup. Not disrespectfully, like not insulting him or anything. But I could see his face was very unhappy towards the end. So like later on I called him and asked, like, was there something wrong? Yeah, like why? Why were you acting that way? And then he said, well, you guys were insulting me because you were just messing with how this thing is supposed to be done, and my friend was there, so you're insulting me in front of my friend. I don't, I, the way we were doing it, I didn't think it was disrespectful, but just the act of trying to mess with how this is supposed to be done, it in itself is already disrespectful to him. So I got an earful on the phone.
Yeah, it's a cultural thing, right?
Mhm.
So as you think back on your childhood and
Mm.
your young adulthood, were there subtle ways you adjusted or edited yourself to fit into each new environment?
I think growing up, because for the first part of my like teenage years, I was living in Hong Kong, and so pretty homogenous surrounding. The only thing that kind of gave me the advantage of being able to adapt is probably because I'm the firstborn. I have two younger sisters, so there's no precedent for me to follow. So I have to be the one experiencing it myself, learning lessons, sometimes the hard way, and then sharing it with my sisters. So even though I wasn't really exposed to an international environment, or never even thought I would move out of Hong Kong when I was young. But that gave me the ability to just not be afraid when this hasn't been done before. What do I do? Because normally I would have to find out myself. I wouldn't be able to ask my parents because they themselves did not move to the States. So there's no one for me to go to. So I think that probably like planted a seed in me to be able to just go experience something new and just figure it out myself.
If Karen of today could tell Karen of 90s when she's moving to San Francisco, like what would you tell her to be prepared for or to do things differently than she would have done?
I would tell her keep this mentality of trying something new. If it doesn't work, then you learn what didn't work. But also try to be more curious and live more intentionally. Because until I graduated college, I didn't think I was living intentionally at all. I was just doing so whatever I was doing at the time, I take it very seriously. So growing up, I'm always good at school because that's my job. My job is a student. So I do that job very well. But what's next? Like, what does it mean? You get good grades, and then what are you getting out of it? I would tell her to be more curious and to explore more areas because at the time it was really just school, school, school. Yes, I'll get a better job. The chance of me getting a good job and getting a good salary is higher if I do well in school. But what do I want to get a good salary from? So I think that's my advice to her.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, being an Indian myself, and I know a little more about Indians or Indian families or parents, the expectation they put on their kids. Is there something like similar in Chinese culture? Like parents have these expectations from the kids?
So I'll start with Chinese culture and then I'll go to my parents. Chinese culture, yes. If you're an artist, there would be like artists are homeless. Like being able to make money and provide for your family is very important in Chinese culture. So there's always better, more respected professions like doctors, engineers, accountants. Now like tech, but making money equals good future to a lot of parents in Chinese culture. My parents are similar, but they didn't have to push me at all. I was already good at I was already focused on school. They they didn't encourage me, but I didn't really play a whole lot anyway. So they didn't have that to worry about. But at some point in my career, there were times when I'm kind of lost what I should be. Like I'm unhappy at a job, but what should I look for the next, like as my next career, things like that. Because both my parents were educators. So my mom, she taught at maybe elementary schools and she was a piano teacher. My dad, he teaches it's night school at the time, so I think maybe high school, like junior, senior years. So both of them have an education background and I think people from the academia, they are respected, they have a lot of knowledge and the pay is not great, but it's not terrible. At least in Hong Kong. So whenever I'm lost, they always want me to go teaching.
Yeah.
So that's the only influence I got from them. But they have been letting us do our own thing most of the time.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. It's just that none of me and my two younger sisters, none of us went into arts, so they didn't have any complaints.
They didn't have to worry you being homeless.
They didn't. Yeah.
Did any return home, like going back to Hong Kong, for an example, or coming back to San Francisco?
Mm-hmm.
Does it feel like unexpectedly foreign, as if you were now a visitor in your own culture?
Yes. So it was. How should I put it? So when I moved back to Hong Kong, That was 2006, 7. So supposedly I'm from there. But at the time I entered a company that's mostly local people. So I'd say like 98% are local people from Hong Kong. They have only lived in Hong Kong or worked at companies that are run by people from Hong Kong. And there's like a lot of stigma. And I could not get along. Like we didn't fight, but I just couldn't find myself being able to carry on a conversation with the coworkers who have been from Hong Kong. Like they have only lived in Hong Kong. So that was a huge culture shock in a way. Because, for example, a guy and a girl, like a female and a male, can't be friends. Like they don't ever believe that they can just be friends. So if there's anyone who I can talk to a little bit more, they think there's something going on. It's stuff like that. And I'm like, seriously? You have no friends, pure friends of the opposite gender.
I think that happened in America too. Like,
There are circles like that.
oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I have seen it. So people are
Mhm.
like, especially if you're married, you can have like
Yeah. You can't have new friends of
yeah,
a different
yeah,
gender, I think.
yeah. So, but sometimes you just meet people and become friends,
Yeah. Yeah.
regardless of gender. I mean, like it can happen, like right?
Yeah. I have had many friends like who are guys, single or are in a relationship or married, and we like nothing has ever happened between us.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you never really thought about anything other than just you could just be genuine friend, like
Yeah. Sometimes there are many areas in the American culture that actually surprise me. But,
mhm,
like as we come to find out, like I didn't realize so many are so hardcore Christians, for example.
mhm.
Like I went to a Christian school growing up, but that's like pretty much it. There's a Bible class. There are tests you have to take about the Bible. That's about it. And yeah, like saying grace before meal. So that was a shock to me.
You know what? I really like saying grace. Like I'm not Christian, but I really find it like that's a way of really nice thing before meal, kind of like thanking
Yeah.
God for
Yeah.
providing and being grateful. So
Mm-hmm.
that is one.
Being grateful. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. So in India, like in Hinduism, we do say like it's like a grace, kind of like we also thank the God for providing the food and stuff like that. So yeah, so there are like so many cultural differences. Do you feel there are different versions of you that only come alive in certain cities or countries?
Definitely. So I think I'm the most mean when I'm in Hong Kong. I am the most reserved in Japan. I am respectful but more open to share my stories when I'm in like now London and when I was in LA and San Francisco. So kind of like the different versions sort of adapt to the environment.
So how did that happen? Like I can understand with Japan being reserved, so because of the culture. Tell me about your experience in London and America.
So people may think, oh, London, US, both English speaking, like same, right? Like it is true that the two are less different than say US and France, for example. The culture has more similarity. Not to say that because it's fighting words, they're not the same, but they're less different. However, here, like people greet each other by saying "you're okay." It's the same as "how are you," and they just expect an answer like "yeah, I'm okay." How you okay? Like that. They don't need to know how your weekend went. But in the States, if someone asks, "How are you? How was your weekend?" Like they may or may not be interested, but it's more okay to tell them what happened over the weekend. So it's like something like that. Like be adapting to the local culture makes me Like, I don't know, it's complicated because I feel like I tend to not stick out too much. Not to say that I completely blend in a way that I'm exactly the same as everyone around me, but I tend to not make a big deal out of the fact that I'm different from you, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to observe because I respect local cultures. So I want to do what is the, like, quote unquote proper way to do things. So that's why I adapt to the culture. And when I say I'm the most reserved in Japan, like, because the people are reserved, just just let's say there's a friends gather, and things might have changed now with social media and how, like, the world has become more similar. So things have definitely changed now. When I lived in Japan, it was 2005, 6. So social media is not as ubiquitous as it is nowadays. So if you meet someone, like a group gathering, you exchange phone numbers, you may still not be considered friends. Like, becoming friends with Japanese people, I think takes a long time. There are different people. I have Japanese friends and they welcomed me in their circles. But when you become friends, that hurdle is pretty high. And, like, you don't tell people everything. You are not supposed to ask everything as well. Like, there are certain things that you should just stop now. Like,
Wow,
don't keep
that
going.
really hard for me. If I'm friends with somebody, I'd be like
Mhm.
asking and asking and asking. I
Yeah.
probably would not have any boundaries.
So there was a lot of hard lessons when I was living in Japan. It was only 9 months, but it was a lot of the experience I still remember very vividly today. Maybe because that was really the first time I'm truly on my own, because I didn't have any relatives or friends in Japan. When I moved to San Francisco, I lived with my aunt. So there's still, like, some family figure there. But Japan, I was truly on my own. So, like, everything was so deeply ingrained in me. And the hard lessons are, like, the subtle manner things, like just reading cues, like just observing and seeing what's okay, what's not. Even after Japan, I was interviewing with this recruiting agency that it specializes in recruiting Japanese speaking people working in Hong Kong. Even, like, how you handle a business card, like stuff like that, there are rules. And, like, if someone hands you a business card, the proper business etiquette is, like, you look at it and then you put it behind, like, put it next to you. Whereas, like, in the States, or I don't even think anyone uses business cards nowadays anymore, but in other countries, it's not, there's no set etiquette, you know?
Wow, I have only seen that in movies and shows, so I didn't
Yeah.
really know that that was a thing.
Yeah. And then, like, when let's say you got a form to fill out at the bank, you fill it out, you give it back, right? You can give it back, like, instead of just throwing it back, you can pass it back. But in proper Japanese etiquette, you're supposed to, like, turn it back so that the words are facing that person, not reverse, but, like, you finish filling it, turn it back, and politely push it to the person who gave you the form.
Wow,
So stuff
that's
like that.
that's amazing. Like to actually, having that culture and people
Mhm.
still doing it is incredible. And I have only seen it in movies. Like I thought, okay, that's just movies, right?
Yeah, no, like, it's Japanese business etiquette is another level. Not even people local to Japan, not everyone knows. You have to learn it. Like, they put you through training. You speak in a completely different form of the language too. It's still Japanese, but it's, if I were to think of an example in the US, it's probably like when you're talking to friends versus when you are in court, or if you're a news anchor or something. So they use a completely different form, which taught me a lot about Japanese culture. They really think about the others. So even the way the language is structured, you put yourself lower than the person you're talking to, if it's a client or anything. Like, it's always like, oh, sorry to bother you, and then there's like a 2 paragraph of polite, just polite stuff, and then you get to the point. So all these things, like, I learned when I was living in Japan, but also, like, all these years after Japan, because I've been interacting with Japanese businesses. There's, like, a lot of Japanese expats living in Hong Kong when I was living there too. So I made friends with a bunch of Japanese expats living in Hong Kong. So all these things I picked up, and yeah, I kind of like that's why I'm reserved and like polite. The Japanese Karen is the most reserved and polite. The Hong Kong version, I'm the meanest because that's how the surrounding is. And by mean, I just mean people are not they're a little rough on the edges. A lot of the things will be interpreted as rude or maybe interpreted as rude by foreign like visitors, tourists. You may see a lot of reviews of restaurants like, oh, the service is terrible. But that's just how it is.
Yeah.
So I just mean that I'm not overly polite in Hong Kong because that you don't get any service if that's like sometimes you have to be more assertive when you're in Hong Kong. Or if someone really did you wrong, you have to stand up for yourself and scream back.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think like traveling or living in different cultures, teaches you that like how to if for an example I only lived in America whole my life and once upon a time I were to visit Japan, it would be hard for me to know the culture firsthand in my first experience until I really experienced it. So I think like your experience living in Hong Kong, Japan, US, now UK, and you've been traveling to Berlin and so many other countries. So I think it teaches you like that's how you learn about culture. And when you learn about culture, then you actually apply it when
Mhm.
you move into these different places. So because you have given yourself opportunity to actually learn about those cultures and so you can behave appropriately, right? And going back to Japan, that is like really interesting that they do it. And I was reading a little while ago that Japanese are considered the best tourists in the world.
Mm,
Yeah, because
they are definitely on the top. Like they're definitely the top ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was reading this research study, and the Japanese were considered the number one tourist because they are polite, they don't litter, they are really
They're
like
considerate, very
yeah,
considerate, and
yeah,
they put themselves last. So they don't leave any rubbish, trash anywhere. Because there's always this like, I don't want to trouble people mentality. Things are changing, so that's not 100% true for 100% of Japanese
yeah,
people,
of
of
course,
course.
yeah,
But for the most part,
yeah,
like respectful, like don't want to trouble anyone, don't want to leave any trash, not be super loud. They try not to be super loud, but it's funny how sometimes they get really loud when they are drinking and having fun.
mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the same in Japan too. Like I don't know if you've heard of this culture of people just letting loose after work when they go drinking.
Uh-huh.
So they are a completely different person when they are socializing with their coworkers. They do that a lot. Again, the younger generations, they are not as pressured to go drinking with their colleagues, so that's also changing. But for like the majority of the working force, that's still true. And they're completely different because they let loose because at work they have to behave that certain way. And even if you talk about something when you're out drinking with coworkers, that doesn't mean the relationship at work has changed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
that was
so
really interesting.
so similar to Japan, China has like a kind of like a similar way of doing things.
Yeah.
There's so rich culture in like Asian countries. Like
Yeah.
if you talk,
Same with India. Like there's
yeah,
so many thousands of years of history.
yeah. So like in for an example, in U.S. we are only like 300-year old. Like before that, we don't know much about America. So Europe has a lot of history, and Asia has a lot of history. India has a
Mm.
lot of history. So when you were in Hong Kong, did you like travel to mainland China and maybe visited like Forbidden City or something?
So it's funny because at the time, a lot of my friends they did have to travel to China for work, like work trips, whatever. I didn't have to because the company is an American advertising company. So, and I'm in the Hong Kong office. So most of the clients are, and because there's a Shanghai office, so anything in China, the Shanghai office was taken care of. So I didn't really have to travel to China, but because my friends did, I was able to confirm my beliefs with them. So it is true that the business discussions, like work, even if it's in a social setting, it's still work. So they make people drink a lot. One is like if you refuse, it's they're losing face. So there's this whole concept of face. So you don't want to make anyone lose face. And by rejecting them, like when they serve you alcohol, if you reject it, they're losing face. So you can't, there's nothing, there's nothing else for you to do. I don't know if that is still true because it's been a while since I was living in Hong Kong. And there's even like these tricks of how to not drink, but without showing that you didn't drink. Like you put a towel over your mouth and you spit it in the towel type thing. So I think that that type of drinking culture it's still there. I don't know to what extent it is done right now. But even like at weddings, it's almost like their mission is to get people drunk.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally. In like where I come from in India, like India is also like China is a huge country, so is
Mm.
US and so is India. And
Mm.
India is like even though we all are brown, but like we have so many things that we do differently. Like South India will
Mm.
have a wedding
Yeah.
ceremony, which is a little bit different than like Central India. Then I am from like North,
Mm.
which
Mm.
is close to like my state actually borders with Tibet, China.
Mm.
So we do things a little bit different, and like you said, like our mission in the wedding is to get everybody drunk.
Yeah. Yeah. Which
So
is funny because I guess the drinking culture is very different. It's not part of a way of life. Not
yeah,
unlike France, Italy, Spain. You are drinking because you're drinking.
yeah,
It's almost like that. Yeah.
yeah, even in America, like it's different. Like in India, like you just need a reason to get drunk, and like
Yeah.
it
Or
could be
like
anything.
alcohol is the occasion.
Yeah, I know, right? And
Yeah.
in America, it's different. Like people do get drunk here too. It's not like they
Mhm.
don't, but like you have to get time on calendar, even from your friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
In India, it was different. Like you have a friend, you just call them, "Hey, I'm bringing some beer or whiskey, and I'm
Mm.
coming to your home." It's like, "Oh, but my parents are here." Okay, look, you come to my house then. So
Yeah.
nothing was pre-planned, or like you didn't need to like send invites or like really
Mm.
schedule a
Mm.
time. It's just like
Yeah.
you just go.
Yeah,
Okay.
like because I watch a lot of these cultural videos on Instagram, so I get them all the time in my like explore.
Hmm.
There's always these like funny, it's like comedy. There's a funny spin on it. It's not a real situation, but
Hmm.
like in the UK it's very similar. Like two guys bump into each other on the street. Hey, let's get together. Like, let's look at the calendar. Oh, next like, in 3 weeks, how about that? No, I'm not here. Like there's that. So that's why it's having experienced like many cultures by living in different places. I picked up how things are done. Then it's not so much losing yourself, but work with the audience, right?
Hmm.
If you insist on your way of doing things, you just won't get anything done.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like talking about this calendar thing, like when you like from Hong Kong to here, I know you were new here, but
Mm.
like when you go back to Hong Kong, like you stayed there for a while?
So, like, to put it really briefly, so Hong Kong, moved to the States for like a good 8, 9 years, moved to Japan, moved back to LA. Um, and then I realized, oh, it's not San Francisco, but it's still like kind of the same. So I wanted something different. So I moved back to Hong Kong. Then I moved back to San Francisco, partly for work, partly for love. And then 3.5 years ago, my husband's company had an opening in London. And because we have been thinking of where else we can move to, that's why I moved to London. So there's no Hong Kong. And like, as an adult, I've only lived in Hong Kong for like 6 years, around 2008, 2013 timeframe.
Okay, so my where I was going with that is like when you moved from US to Hong Kong or or from other places, like did you have like you had friends there, you felt comfortable just calling them, hey, let's just hang out today, and in US was more like, hey, could we meet this weekend? Do you have availability?
Um, I think it depends on the friends because I have friends whom I can just call up and go out spontaneously in like all places. There are also people I have to ask them in a few weeks advance to get together. So I think it really depends. But in general, the spontaneity works better. Oh, I know why. It's not so much a geography thing, it's your age. Yeah. So when you're young, you have nothing going on most of
Yeah,
the time.
totally. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can be more spontaneous. Now in London, yes, the local culture is very, it's not, most people can't meet like with the really short notice, but I think it's more because they have commitments.
Hmm.
So it's not just geography.
Yeah,
Because you can say the same with Hong Kong too. Like I would think it's pretty spontaneous, but I don't think it has really worked if I want to meet up with them that day recently. So
yeah,
I think it's your life stage.
yeah. I agree with that. Like as I have grown older, I think even if I'm not doing anything and somebody just asks me, hey, do you want to hang out today? I'd be like, nope, today is my chill day.
Yes. So like the more you, yeah, maybe you want just downtime.
Yeah.
You don't want to give that up to meet friends that day, like spontaneously.
Are you
So
are you familiar with the term Irish goodbye?
yes. Yes.
So have you how have you how have repeated goodbyes and distance affected the way you build or maintain friendships now? So since you have moved like so many countries,
Hmm.
was there a time you were like doing Irish goodbyes?
So like the Irish goodbye is the when you say bye the first time it's not really bye. Like you
Yeah, you just leave.
3 to 4,
Yeah.
like 3 to 4 times. That's the Irish goodbye. But when it comes to like the goodbyes when I'm leaving a place, so even before the internet, even before social media or like WhatsApp, these instant messages, I don't lose touch with people. So even when I moved to the States in the 90s, I would write letters to my friends,
Wow.
like the ones that I'm closer with. So I kept in touch with those. And it takes two people to keep a relationship. So if that person is not really reciprocating, that eventually we like drift apart. But I don't lose touch and I don't like losing touch either. So when I leave a place, it doesn't mean we're not friends anymore. Like I still keep in touch with people, one to update them of how I am. I also ask them how they are. So if you're constantly just telling others how you are doing, which is possible now with social media, you just keep posting your own stuff, like, but you don't care how the others are, then that's not really a true friendship, and that's not me at all. So it's bye for now, or like bye, I will be living in a different space. That's all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I need to get better at that. I'm really bad at keeping in touch.
Mm.
So I think that's why I have like only very limited friends.
Mhm.
So
Well, sometimes quality is more important than quantity.
yeah,
As you
of course.
get older, then it's really the ones that you have a genuine interest in keeping in touch, and they are also genuinely reciprocating.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to have like really like rather than having like 50
Yeah. Yeah.
friends, you
Yeah.
have like three like really friends who are there
Mhm.
all the time for you and you are there for them.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Like
it goes both way.
yeah. For me, I'm better like in a smaller group setting. So I have many small groups of friends. I don't have a, I'm not very good with hosting a party and inviting 50 of my friends. Like I don't think that has ever happened. So I'm not as good in like huge group setting. I favor the more intimate setting, but it helps you build stronger relationship with people. That's why I was able to maintain all these friendships all over the world.
So,
Yeah.
when when you moved like different countries like San Francisco, Hong Kong, Japan, I'm pretty much sure a lot of people may have asked you when you first meet somebody, "Hey, Karen, where are you from?" So
Yeah.
how do you actually answer that, and how do you want to answer?
So let's, for example, if I go to a meetup event in London, for example, so it all depends on the context. That's how I'll answer people. Because if I meet someone new, they ask me where I'm from, the most relevant information they need to know is I moved here from San Francisco because I am closer to the people from San Francisco than from Hong Kong, moving directly to the UK in recent years. So it depends on like what's relevant. Let's say if I'm in Hong Kong and people ask me like because they probably can sense something is different. And then I'll say, oh, like right now I live in London, but before that I lived in San Francisco. Because for the same reason, if I tell them, oh, I live in London now, because there's so many people who have moved to the UK recently, they would think, oh, I'm the same. Like you're largely local, but you moved to the UK like 3 years ago, which is also not accurate. So it depends on where I'm asked, who the person is, like what will be the most relevant thing for this conversation. Because sometimes you can sense that they are trying to ask you where like your ancestry is, or like where you were born. Then, depending on the mood of the day, if I want to tell you so much about myself, I tell you more, or tell you less. Like code switch.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
like I think that's our specialty. Like people from like
Hmm.
moves
Yeah. Yeah.
country to country, or like has like called uh more than one country at home. Like we have to be prepared to code switch.
Code switch. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like for me, it's complicated because where are you from can mean like a few things. Do you mean what passport I hold? Or do you mean where I'm living now? Or where I was born? Or what languages I speak? Because those are all like it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
So Karen, when we were exchanging emails, you mentioned something like loneliness, losing
Mm.
touch, and isolation.
Mm.
Which of those, has been the hardest to navigate, and what does it look like in your day-to-day life?
I think the loneliness and isolation. Let's start with loneliness. I think in Japan, in Tokyo at least, because for everything that I've said, very much like the Tokyo side of the culture, because when it comes to West Japan, it's different. So in before I moved to Tokyo, I remember hearing my friends saying something about, oh, like it's kind of lonely there. I didn't know what it mean. I didn't know what it meant until I was there because I didn't have like all the friends are new friends. So it's not deep friendship. Yeah, you go out, like you go shopping together, you go drink together, but that's really it. So when I am at home, even like for the first part, I was living with the host family. Like it's a family, so it's like a lot of support, but it's still just a family that you have just met. So there's not really a lot of people that you can really share like deep secrets or how you feel because of the reserve culture as well. So I felt that loneliness a lot. But it was just part of the experience. Like I, write journals or write emails to my friends who like San Francisco, Hong Kong, whatnot. So the way I overcome that is to just focus on what my goal was. My goal of this Japan experience is to get good at Japanese and like complete this 1 year program and try to learn as much of the culture as possible by living there. So the loneliness is like a side effect, but it doesn't change my goal. It doesn't like I wasn't completely incapable of doing anything else because I'm lonely. So yeah.
With all these moves, have there been any, specific friendships or relationships that couldn't survive all the moves, and how has that shaped the way you attach to people now?
I think there were friendships that was not it was hard to maintain not being in the same place. And it comes from like time difference. Like right now, if I had friends in Australia, like I have friends in Australia now, if we used to talk real time, now would be very hard. Like London and Sydney, for example, it's literally day and night. Um, but I don't know if how that affected how I approach people. There were some friendships that were kind of out of sight, out of mind. And it's like the friend wasn't really interested in my life and my new experiences. Then it didn't survive. Or I think it's like it's taking a lot of energy to maintain. And I guess it taught me just some friendships are different from others. Doesn't mean that we are not friends anymore, but it's just a different level of friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. Like over
Mm-hmm.
time, you kind of like come to realize that you just have to move on, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and your
Yeah.
friends are also moving on.
Mm-hmm.
So now, like after these many years, when you feel most alone in like a new city or new country, what do you reach for to ground yourself? Like people, language, food, music, or routine?
I look at the pictures I took a lot. So it's interesting. Like, I don't have a photographic memory, but I remember like the visual very well. So I could even tell you, oh, the last time we met, I was wearing this, so I'm not going to wear this time. So I look at my photos a lot. So it's sort of kind of helped me, in a way, stay in touch. But to ground myself when I'm lonely, I guess I just see what's happening in the world right now. I have this really bad habit of spending a lot of time on social media. Good and bad. Sometimes I see what my friends are up to. Like I see, oh, you have a new daughter now. So in a way, it's like one direction. I'm keeping in touch with them. Um, so I say, looking back at the photos, it gives me sort of this. It's therapeutic, I think. Or sometimes it's just you just need to call them or send them messages and like checking in, because now we don't call people. Now when you get a phone call, you think, oh, they must have pressed the wrong button. Right?
That is
And now
that
maybe not so much anymore.
yeah, that is so true. Like we
Mm.
all have phones, and we spend like $1,000 to buy a new iPhone, and we don't want to take the calls.
Yeah. And I'm hesitant to just call anyone out of the blue unless like I'm dying or something.
Yeah, because in back of your head, there's this like, for me personally, like back of my head, I'm like, I don't know, like they might be doing something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't want to bother them. So similar way, when I see somebody calling me unexpectedly, I'm like,
Yeah. Like,
why is he calling me?
like,
I'm not gonna
butt
take this.
dial. Butt dial.
Yeah. I'm like, they'll text me if it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's ironic. But nowadays, I think if you're feeling like you need someone to talk to, there's nothing wrong with just messaging them. Like, if you don't want to bother them, at least you can message them and see, can you talk now? Like, especially now. For anyone listening who hasn't been through the days without internet,
Yeah.
it's so much easier now. So take advantage of it.
So, Karen, as we come to almost end up our conversation, I want to ask you one last question before I say Irish goodbye. Are there moments when you think, if I had stayed in one place, I would never have seen the world this way, how you see it now?
I think about that every day. Because who I am now and the people I know, they're more or less indirectly because of all my moves. So, for example, every place I move to, my friends, if they have other friends who live in the destination, they'll connect me. Similarly, my friends also connect their friends who is moving to my city, and we become friends. So, and this is still happening like right now in London. Like someone I used to work with, she's Japanese, and her Japanese friend moves to London, and she introduced us, and like we meet up here and there. You know, just another friend. It doesn't really cost anything more. So, my life now is because of all these moves.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and what advice would you give someone like third culture kid or somebody who just migrated to a different country, or their parents moved to a different city? Like, we don't necessarily have to like move countries. Even a country itself can be like different in different parts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what would you like, based on your experience? You have traveled a lot, you have moved a lot. So based on your experience, what advice would you give our listeners who might be like traveling or planning to move to a different country?
There are two sides of things. The practical things to do would be to research as much as you can just to prepare yourself, even like unspoken rules or climate or just find as much information as possible to educate yourself so you know what to prepare for. The other advice would be just enjoy take the best out of each place, and rather than just wishing one or the other. So if you're moving from India to Atlanta, it would be pretty hard if you want the exact same level of service or Indian food or convenience that you used to have in India, apply that to your destination. That would be really difficult. So just try to make the best out of each experience, take the good parts, learn from the not so good parts. But it's all how you make it. The experience is the same. The surrounding is the same. It's how you interpret it and what you choose to do with that experience that will make it very good or very bad for you.
Karen, thank you so much for sharing your story and your heart with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You were welcome. It was pleasure, and hearing how you have moved through Hong Kong, North America, Japan, and now in London, and how you have stitched all of these places together into a life that actually feels like you is such a powerful reminder that belonging doesn't have to look like choosing just one home or one identity. For anyone listening who has felt that same in-between ache of being not quite like the locals, Karen's journey is a beautiful example of how disconnection can transform into depth, perspective, and kind of groundness that travels with you. If you want to hear more about Karen, go check out her podcast, Mind Blend, where she's usually the one asking the thoughtful questions and holding space for other people's stories. As always, thanks for listening to Neither Here Nor There. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who is also living in between words, and let us know what part of Karen's story stayed with you. Until next time, here's to all the places we come from and all the selves we are still becoming. Thank you.
Thank you.